actually see the top of the cathedral come down was, I've never seen anything like it in my life. There's just no words, to be quite honest. It was absolutely awful.
Post-tragedy in New Zealand, a massive quake rocks the country's second largest city, leaving devastation in its wake.
We continue to follow developing news out of New Zealand, where a magnitude 6.3 earthquake left the city of Christchurch in ruins. At least 65 people are dead and hundreds are missing or trapped in the rubble. In the words of the country's prime minister, it may well be New Zealand's darkest day. NBC national correspondent Natalie Morales reports.
It's crushed the building there and the cars.
In the moments after the earthquake,
it's terrifying.
Chaos on the ground. People ran to escape crumbling buildings.
Just utter devastation.
1 minute people were inside. The next minute, they suddenly found themselves on the outside. With smoke rising from the rubble, police cleared danger zones.
This building comes down, you got no chance. Can you all go back there, please? Please?
A makeshift medical center was set up to treat the injured.
Yeah, I am okay.
The walking wounded everywhere on the street. Others had to be carried as rescue workers swept across the city searching for survivors.
Suffered the most.
Fire crews rescued one woman who'd been trapped on the top story of a collapsed building, greeted by co-workers on the ground, overcome with emotion.
They fell.
This four-story building flattened like a stack of pancakes, with at least 30 people trapped inside.
Words can't describe it.
With elevators jammed, people used ropes to escape some office buildings.
24 people are now being rescued.
These people rescued from the 17th floor after a stairwell collapsed.
It's such an icon.
And the Christchurch Cathedral, one of the city's most iconic landmarks, heavily damaged after its spire crashed to the ground. A dark day for the city as New Zealand's Deputy Prime Minister focuses on saving those who may still be alive.
Our focus is now firmly going on those people who may be remaining trapped in collapsed buildings. Our condolences go to the loved ones who, of course, will be deeply worried and anxious for the people who are missing.
Just a horrible situation there. And back home, a problem of a different sort. Winter weather problems here in the Midwest. Ice jams on the Des Moines River in northern Iowa caused flooding in Fort Dodge. Nearby residents couldn't do much to save their homes, their cars, their belongings. They were shocked at how quickly the water rose and just rushed into their homes. That can happen so fast when you get that ice breaking apart in the river and then just making basically a dam on the river, and the water continues to rise behind it. Many of these flood warnings that you see in green around the Midwest are from ice jam flooding. Others are simply from the rivers rising due to quick snow melt. And we'll continue to see a bit more ice jam problems as those temperatures just get a little bit above the freezing mark and some sunshine goes to work on that ice as well. Well, it's still cool and still snowing here around portions of Ohio on into West Virginia. We're seeing rain into the eastern portions of Kentucky right now. This is just a little bit of leftovers from the system that brought abundant snowfall here toward the east. Maria?
Well, this latest burst of snow made for a tricky commute to work this morning. Our Eric Fisher has more on this mid-Atlantic mess from the Baltimore suburb of Pikesville, Maryland.
Well, if we came out here on Friday of last week, we'd be in shorts and a Weather Channel polo shirt. A few more layers out here today as temperatures have gone well below normal once again. They're going to stay chilly for at least the next couple of days. Now, we're in Pikesville. That's just outside of Baltimore, a northwestern suburb. We're right along I-695, and you can see the highway here moving at a pretty good clip. Morning commute wasn't slowed in any real meaningful, large way. We did have a couple of accidents, nothing large scale that we've seen in some of these winter storms so far this season. And you can see the snowbanks that we're standing next to here. These aren't the huge mountains that we've seen in some of these other storms. So a little bit of good news. If you're heading to the airports, there are some delays. Not a lot of cancellations at Philly or at BWI, Reagan and Dulles. Much less in the way of snowfall there. They saw less than an inch in around the D.C., just at the tail end, picking up some of that wintry precipitation. So the airport's in good shape. And I think the evening commute is going to be even better shape because that sun is shining down now. You can see it right on my face. Even with the cold temperatures, we're going to be looking at some melting, especially on the roads more traveled. Take a look at the northeast forecast. Today's a chilly one. We stay right near the freezing mark in New York. A little warmer down by D.C. All that precipitation you see on the map, that's going to be moving out very, very early. It's really not going to be of any consequence during the daylight hours. We'll stay in the 20s out across the northern end of the northeast, and we'll warm up a little bit as we head toward the end of the week. The next storm looks to be a rainstorm for D.C. and Baltimore. That's the latest from Pikesville, Maryland. I'm meteorologist Eric Fisher. Back to you.
And as Eric mentioned, we have a lot of warm air to work with. The flow keeping things moist and warm, so it is going to be a rainmaker, especially for the south. In some cases, some severe weather as well as our storm continues to track right along that jet stream. Lots of moisture and near 40 million people potentially impacted. We'll be right back.
I love working with animals, but my allergies put me in a fog. So now, I'm Claritin Clear. Claritin works great on all my allergies, like dust, mold, pollen, or pets, without making me drowsy. Because I want to be alert around this big guy. Live Claritin Clear, indoors and out.
Live Claritin Clear.
What's small, red, powerful, and helps support cardiovascular health? Mega Red Omega-3 Krill Oil from Schiff. Unlike fish oil soft gels, Mega Red soft gels are small and easy to swallow with no fishy smell or aftertaste. Try Mega Red today.
Your favorite food's fighting you? Fight back fast with Tums. Calcium-rich Tums goes to work in seconds. Nothing works faster. Tums.
LegalZoom, you can take care of virtually all your important legal matters in just minutes. Now it's quicker and easier for you to start your business, protect your family, and launch your dreams. At LegalZoom.com, we put the law on your side.
Get real about what you put in your coffee. La Creme, 100% real dairy in 4 amazing all-natural flavors. Get real. Get La Creme.
The Weatherman. Good morning, everybody. The Weather Team.
We have breaking news for you this morning.
This is not a joke, people. It is going to get brutally cold.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 11 Eastern. A lot of weather.
Here's all the rain.
So a lot of action across the country.
A big problem.
Cancellations across the board.
And a little fun.
Frosty Mini Wheats and milk. Let them sit there, eat them, and then smell a Band-Aid. Same thing, I swear.
And scene. Wake up with Al and your weather today. Weekday mornings from 6 to 11 Eastern on the Weather Channel.
Weeknights 8, 7 Central. The Weather Channel. Primed for excitement. And now, your local on the 8s.
it's an earthquake, get under the tables.
It's just horrendous.
It all collapsed and all the doors were shut. We had to smash the window out.
To actually see the top of the cathedral come down, to actually see it topple in front of the cathedral, to see the dust and have people running out, it was absolutely awful.
What a tragedy. Well, let's go over to the Digital Media Center now for more on this deadly earthquake. That's where we find meteorologist Maria LaRosa. Maria, bring us up to date.
Well, Nick, as we continue to follow the developing tragedy in New Zealand, that earthquake did kill at least 65 people. Now, here's the major bullet points on this quake. It was a 6.3 magnitude center on the nation's South Island. This is not the first time. This you may have Christchurch may sound familiar because we had a quake happen just in September. That was a 7.1 quake. Again, there were no major reports of injuries at that one. Now, this is reportedly an aftershock of that event. Now, the reason that New Zealand sees all these earthquakes is because it sits on a fault line, and you can imagine that this whole thing is connected to other parts of the world. It's called the Pacific Ring of Fire, and you can see where you see those red spots. Those are active fault lines, active volcanoes as well, and it circles the Pacific Ocean. Now you zoom in on New Zealand, and it sits on one of those active fault lines, and unfortunately Christchurch is one of those spots. And as we mentioned, we had some issues there in Christchurch last fall, and where they had that 7.1 earthquake. Now, very close to the historic cathedral, that collapsed. So we're beginning to see some of those reports come in of just utter devastation, Nick. And unfortunately, we're going to continue to see that over the next few days.
All right, thank you very much, Maria LaRosa there for that update. Appreciate it. You know, 17-year-old Cameron Betts was in Christchurch when the earthquake struck, very close to the historic cathedral that collapsed. These are recaps we're getting from the ground this morning.
All around me, you know, there was bricks falling down everywhere. Just down the road, there was a huge fire happening, and shortly after, a lot of helicopters swooped in.